This is the one I'm a little more passionate about. And again, I would love your comments on this one once I'm done ranting, perhaps. So I'm sure we all remember Uvalde, and that was the school shooting where a whole bunch of children were killed. And that one has been debated right, left, and sideways in the media because of law enforcement's, in my opinion, complete failure to act quickly. So when that shooting went down, they weren't quick to take out that gunman, and a whole bunch of kids died because of it. But the school police officer, the one who was assigned to the school, was in trial, and they reached a verdict on that trial. Specifically, a jury returned a not guilty verdict Wednesday evening, so this was last night, in the trial of former Uvalde school police officer Adrian Gonzalez, charged with 29 counts of child abandonment or endangerment tied to that 2022 Robb Elementary shooting. Jury deliberated for only 7 hours before returning the verdict. Gonzalez faced charges tied to the early minutes of the attack. 19 children and 2 adults died in the shooting, which is the deadliest in Texas history, according to the Texas Tribune. His counsel brought up 2 witnesses to stand in his defense. Gonzalez did not take the stand. Speaking to the press after the verdict was read, both Gonzalez and his legal team shared details of their conversation with the jury. Defense attorney Nico LaHood said the jury told them there were, quote, a lot of gaps in the evidence. You can tell they say there were gaps in the evidence, said LaHood. They appreciated us bringing out those gaps. They considered everything. They were very diligent. They worked very hard back there. They were very mindful and deliberate. Obviously, they were saddened because they know that the other families are mourning still, but they said there was a lot of gaps in the evidence, and some of that didn't make sense to them, LaHood added. On Gonzalez's part, he thanked God, his family, his legal team, and the jury after being acquitted. First things first, I want to start by thanking God for this, Gonzalez said. My family, my wife, and these guys right here. He put them in my path, I'm thankful for that. Thank you to the jury for considering all the evidence and making their verdict. When asked if he had anything to say to the Uvalde families, Gonzalez responded, no, not right now. Former Uvalde Police Chief Pete Arredondo was also criminally charged in relation to the 2022 shooting. He's charged with endangerment and abandonment, pled not guilty. The date for his trial has not been set. So I bring this up because obviously it's a legal thing, and it is very much court thing, and it's also very much a national piece. I mean, this is something that we all saw, we all lived through, and mentioned straight out, I'm one of the people that shook my head at the police response to it. And I take huge issue with the verdict in this one for a few reasons. Now, if our friend of the channel, Bailey, were here, he would tell me that he has faith in the jury, and the jury never gets it wrong. I'm not sure the jury got it right in this case, because, let me find it here. This is a witness. Last name of Flores. Flores is a key witness for the state, providing the only first-hand testimony about what Gonzalez did or didn't do in the first few minutes as the shooting began. Flores said she fell after seeing the gunman, and as she got up, a police vehicle drove up to her. She told the officer 2 or 3 times where the shooter was headed. I just kept pointing. He's going in there. He's going into the 4th grade building, she said. He just stayed there, she said of the officer. He was pacing back and forth. So that ultimately is my challenge that I have in my mind with so much of this situation. We had a deal there where you had an active shooter situation, but the police refused to move in on it until they had what they felt was sufficient numbers and a good tactical position to be able to take on the shooter. And the first guy on the scene, who was Gonzalez, the officer assigned to the school, did not take any action on his own either. If this witness is to be believed, he was more in paralysis than he was at a point where he would take actual action to help these children. That says so many bad things about where we're at. If I may be blunt, if you are in law enforcement, if you are in that position, if you've taken that job, and we can debate how much they're paid and how much stress they're under and all of this kind of stuff, and those are good debates to have, but two things can be true at once. They can be underpaid and overstressed, but they still signed up for the job. And their job is to throw themselves in harm's way at a moment's notice to help those that they've committed to helping. Period. End of discussion. In my mind, anyways. And what happened here was they didn't move in. They waited until they had what they felt were sufficient numbers, until they had what they felt was a good tactical position, and then they decided to take action. Meanwhile, the people that they are sworn to protect died. And I don't think that says a lot about our law enforcement, unfortunately. And I'm not an anti-law kind of person, but I'm also not exactly pro-law either. I'm somewhere in the middle, and it's probably based on the fact that there's a whole lot of law enforcement that are out there acting a fool, but honestly, there's a whole lot of public out there acting a fool, egging them on, trying to get them to do bad things. So there's problems on both sides. But especially in this case, when you are sworn to protect, in this instance, children, you got to go in there and do it. And I'm sorry if it's not a good tactical position for you. I'm sorry if you're fearful for your life. I don't care, because that's the job that you decided to take, that you swore to do, and you didn't do it. And really what it tells me, if that is going to be the case, then I would question our ability to count on law enforcement to protect us. Honestly, I've always questioned that ability because the response time's too slow. By the time the police get there, in most cases, whatever was going to happen has already happened. So they're there to investigate and clean up, much more than they're there to prevent a crime from happening. But in this case, there was an officer there who might not have prevented the first shots, but could have ended it sooner, and he didn't take action. And then we have a jury that somehow looks at this and says, yeah, no, it was cool. I don't know how. Now, obviously, I was not in that jury room. I don't know what they were presented with, but the fact that we know that the officers delayed in their response to this event and kids died for that, it had to be some really compelling evidence, or some really compelling holes in the evidence, as they put it, to keep some kind of conviction from happening there. Dude didn't do his job and people died. I don't know. I would be anxious to hear from some of you if you have other thoughts on the matter, but I am really bothered by that result. I don't think juries are perfect. I don't expect them to be, because we're human beings, but I'm absolutely shocked at that outcome. I really am. I'm baffled by it. I would not have expected, with all of those dead children, for them to look at an officer who, from the looks of it, froze in the moment rather doing his duty, and they're just like, yeah, it's cool. It's fine. It's no big deal. I don't know. Hey, thanks for watching this clip from TCF Overtime, the fourth hour of our daily live show where we discuss the happenings of the court that we saw during the day and other law news. If you like this video, please do leave it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. You can join us live every weekday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, right here on this channel.